graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Fuckhead, shit-faced, cocksucker, asshole, son of a bitch!
Scum-sucking motherfucking whore!
Cock! Cock! Jism! Grandma! Cock!
Bum! Fuck, turd, fart! Cunt, piss, shit, bugger, and balls!
Damn it! Hell! Trap! Shit!
You goddamn motherfucking bitch! Fuck you, you car wash cunt! I had a dental appointment!
Fellatio, cunnilingus, French kissing. Rim job.
Right. Piss. Fucking,
Schmuck. Fuss. Like Doris Lecker.
Pussy, pig fucker, balls!
Boy cock, girl cock, E-I-E-I-O.
Stay the fuck at home.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And Paul, it's been, what the hell happened to us? We celebrated our anniversary and then we disappeared for a month. So it's
that was you, not me.
Yeah, it's true.
I've been living life.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, you have a lot of shit going on. A lot of shit could be going on in the next couple of days, but like restrictions lift.
Oh, a lot is going on in the next couple of days. So
work wise, things that you're pretty much back work as much as back to you can be with the current restrictions. Personally, you have a lot of shit going on. I think you announced it the past couple episodes back. You're going to be a daddy, so we're just waiting any minute now for that that cork to pop.
Well, I wish it was coming. I wish it was like the actual date, but because the baby's head up and not the way that it's supposed to be, they're gonna. In 2 days from recording this podcast, I'll have a kid. So
I'm so lazy I take forever to actually put the episodes out. So by the time people are hearing this, your baby will probably be born. But that's all good because even when my daughter was she was the doctor said she was sitting there like Buddha, sitting feet down, head up, facing forward, which is not usually the way babies are supposed to be when they're born. But good luck to you or whatever the case may be. I don't know what they say when it's the medical stuff.
Did they do that to Layla? Did they do an inversion or? No,
well, because with her it was a C-section. Because it's like it's one of those deals where C-section, like once a woman gets a C-section, there's like 99% every other kid after that. So her firstborn was a C-section, my daughter was a C-section, and the two kids after that were C-sections. So and that's what fucking creeped me out was that I wasn't there in the room when my daughter was actually born, and I wanted to. They told me, oh, wait out here in the hallway, and I'm like, I want to get in there, because I guess technically they had they're like it's like they were doing a surgery, and so since it was like that, they had me, and I'm like literally standing just outside the window behind the curtain, and I hear my daughter crying, and then the lady opens the curtain, and then they go, okay, now you can come into the room, but dude, when I walked into the room, there was puddles of blood on the floor. It looked like a fucking scene out of Dexter. Shit, it looked like a fucking crime scene.
Jesus.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought, I don't know what the hell was going on, but there. I mean, I don't know if that's a usual thing. I mean, obviously, survived for that. Survived.
Well, first of all, don't. I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast because she does. My girlfriend does. She's gonna be like, all right, I don't want to do this. Screw this.
I mean, she had my mother had 4 kids with C-sections. You know what I'm saying? And so it's it's one of those deals and see, I could kind of relate when it comes to C-section because they're cutting through muscle and stuff like that to get to insides. And then with me, when I had my gastric bypass, they had to cut through my muscles. And the one thing about that is that women who get C-sections you're very sensitive the next couple of days. You can't walk because once they patch up the muscles, But also on the good side is they keep you nice and up. They give you all the best painkillers.
What we're trying, because like there's extra fluid in there, like they're gonna be able to turn him.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully she can just do a natural birth, like with the other two that she had, which aren't mine. But
yeah, more power to her.
Yeah,
I mean, if the C-section is kind of cheating, but then again, I can't say shit because I'm a dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So, whatever decision she wants to go with, she can go with. Wants to go, hey, more power to her. And
I mean, just the recovery time's not better.
So you've had a lot of good things going on in your. Me, I've been fucking going through the fucking ringer, and that's part of the reason. Like, usually I'm the one who calls you and I say like, hey, can we record? And I've been having fucking crazy neighbor drama. Anyone who follows me on Facebook talking about it. Started now. I don't know if from the last time we recorded, I moved into my apartment a little less than a year ago, and so my neighbor downstairs, her apartment faces the front of the house, and there is parking for all 4 apartments in the back of the house. And so to get to the street, from the actual street to the parking lot, to the little parking area in the back of the house, there's a driveway that goes from the front to the back. So I guess, I don't know if my neighbor must have got her tax return or whatever the case may be. She was driving this little junky car. She gets this really nice GMC. I said GMC, the fucking vitamin. A GMC truck. And it's one of those big fucking monstrosities. I mean, I don't know if it's a Navigator or whatever. I mean, I should know off the top of my head, but it's one of those big, ridiculous SUVs. And so I guess she felt like, and now, don't get me wrong, the driveway from the street to the back of my house is a narrow fucking driveway and everything like that. But, she bought this, why would you buy a fucking monstrosity if that's how things are going to be? But it got to the point where, all right, so she buys this big fucking thing, and then she would park it right in the driveway. As in, like, as soon as you pull in off the street, she would park her car there. And it's frustrating because, there was times where I needed to get my car out, and now I got to go and knock on her fucking door and say, can you move your car so I fucking leave? So one time, she gets out, I knock on the door, and she comes out, and I'm like, that's not a parking space, and she just, like, stops and looks at me like I'm the fucking ass. So, it got frustrating after a while where, she kept, she leaves her car in the fucking driveway. All right, so on a totally separate thing, and what kills me is that sometimes the car, she does park it in the back. She doesn't always park it in the front. But I think like her daughter or her sister or somebody else who lives in that apartment drives the car. Whenever they drive it, they park it in the back nice. When she drives it, she leaves it out front because the fuck it all knows her. So, that being said, on a totally separate thing, one day she was parked in the back, I was parking, she's like, and she has like an outdoor cat. Some people that have like a cat and they let the cat roam the street. So, she has a cat, and then oh, hey, have you seen my cat? And it's a cute cat, and whenever we come in and out of the apartment and see the cat, and my daughter being a kid, loves animals, loves cats and shit, like play with it and pet with it. And so my neighbor goes, oh, have you seen my cat? I said, yeah, I saw it last night, when we came in, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I haven't seen the cat for a while. So I'm sorry. I saw it last night, but So one day, like at 10 o'clock at night, she fucking knocks on my door. Well, she rings my doorbell. I come downstairs, and luckily there's like a gate there. And she goes, I'm tired of fucking being nice to you. Where the fuck is my cat? And I'm, whoa. So she had it in her head that I was like taking her cat and like holding her cat in my house. Purely based on the fact that she saw my daughter like petting the cat. So like I'm like this, like. And I said, no, I don't fucking have a cat here. And so, and long story short, yes, I have a cat. I have my cat, which at one point was, listeners of the show, was once your cat. I have my cat here. If you hear meowing or anything like that coming from my apartment, the cat that I, for the past, I got Ziggy from you, like 2-3 years ago. So, she's like, you have my cat and all this other bullshit. Then what is it? Oh. Then comes a time where she, like, she's down. Okay, no, excuse me. So while she was downstairs and she's like, I'm gonna get my brother to kick your ass, and I'm gonna break down your door, and I'm gonna get my cat. And I'm like, I don't, fucking psycho. I don't have your fucking cat. So I call the cops because she threatened to break down my door. So a couple days later, I hear my doorknob fucking, and I grab my baseball bat and I answer the door and I'm like, can I help you? you have my cat in, and she's standing right in front of me. And at that particular, even though I had the bat in my hand, I said, would you like to come in and check and see if your cat's in my apartment? Oh, no, and storms downstairs. And she goes, well, why do you have a cat bowl, and why do you have kitty litter? And I said, because you could see those from my door. And I said, because I have a cat. And I run and I go to grab my cat. So my cat's freaking, scratching, going crazy. And I'm trying to follow this crazy fucking woman down the stairs. Look, I have a fucking cat. So then, the funny thing is, I guess after that, since I met her at the door with a fucking baseball bat, because once again, it's not like she knocked and she didn't ring my doorbell or anything. She was trying to open my door. And that's one thing people here in Rochester do that I'll never understand from New York City is I lock my doors. I always lock my doors. So, had my door been unlocked, she would have just walked in my apartment. And no. Situations like that, you walk into someone's apartment, you get shot. That's on you. You have no business going into someone's apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and especially days after making the threat, and the whole thing is one of those deals where the cops are like, oh, we can't do anything. So, it's frustrating and shit like that. Then a couple more days pass. Then she calls the cop, like she's standing at the bottom of my stairs, because I guess she must have woke up when I answered the door with my baseball. Now she's standing at the foot of my stairs, but screaming upstairs, you have my cat up there! You have my cat up there! She calls the cops, and the cops show up, and I'm like, so I told the cops, please come to my house. Yes, I have a cat here. My cat, all white. Her cat is this gray striped, and so, and the cop goes, looks under my bed, looks at my closets. I want you to look through my house. Feel free. I don't have any fucking drugs up here or anything like that, but feel free to fucking, I'm just saying some people don't like cops in their house. I'm big. I'll have 50 fucking cops in my house. So, and then they try to tell her. So then the other day, and I live in a bad neighborhood. And I had mentioned that, there's these drug dealers that kind of hang out. They're based out of across the street, but they kind of hang out in front of my house. I have like a ghetto security around my house. And so because of her car issue with the car, I've stopped parking behind my house. But there is property next to my house. It's totally empty. So I drive on that. I'm totally trespassing my car on somebody else's property. So I can have a place to park my car, but it's like 10 feet away from where I used to park. So it's not like a big fucking thing. I could see the car from my window in case something fuck, because I was always worried that she was going to fuck with my car. I always kind of have that kind of, she's mad at me or she's fucking fiddling with my doorknobs. It's probably going to my car. So I parked the car, so since all this shit happened, I parked in a property next to me, which, it makes me feel like an asshole. But then again, I don't want to fucking deal with her. I don't want to see her face. I don't want to deal with this shit. Okay, so the other day there was a shooting in front of my house, and I don't know all the exact details, but it was on the news. I posted a link to it on my, and here's where the facts will probably get a little fudged because I don't know exactly what. I don't know if a guy got hit by a car and the guy who got hit started shooting, or a guy hit somebody with the car and also started shooting. I don't know. I have a feeling, I think the logic goes more towards a guy got hit by a car, like a car was driving and a guy kind of got hit, but the guy who got hit was still cognizant enough and angry enough by getting hit by the car to start shooting. Because once again, it's there's cars that always slow down in front of my house because they're meeting the drug dealers to get their drugs. So there's some shooting, and a bullet goes into this neighbor's apartment because once again she's down in the front, so she, within the path of fire or whatever, a bullet goes into her apartment. And so, and the whole thing is like I heard the gunshots at that particular, this is like 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm laying in my bed, I'm kind of just whatever. I hear gunshots, my daughter comes into the room, stay away from the windows. But the way my apartment's set up is sort of, if there was a bullet would have to go through like 2 different walls to get the house, not to mention that I'm upstairs. So the cops come and they tape off the area and they're doing a whole investigation. They're searching the floor for casings and all the street for casings. And so the cop comes to my door and asking questions. Do I have anything? Do I have any cameras? And at the time I was like, nope. If I had anything, I would give it to you in a heartbeat. I don't have no idea what's going on. And they were like, oh, a bullet went to downstairs into there's apartment. And for a split second, I was like, please tell me it fucking, please tell me my neighbor got hit, please. But apparently, luckily for her, she didn't get shot. But let me tell you, part of me, but it's also like, that's karma for all the fucking shit and drama that she gave me for no fucking reason, purely based on a bullshit idea that we stole her cat because of my daughter petting the cat in the fucking, for all that drama. And then the funny thing is that for a while after the shooting, she kept parking a car in the back because now if someone was bucking shots in front of the house, her big luxurious giant SUV could have also parked it also. So she was parking in, but now she's back to parking in the front. Attitude comes back. But once again, I don't fucking deal with her. I don't see her. But just when you have drama like that, almost trying to get into your like, that's like part of the reason we didn't record, because so fucking stressed out by this obvious fucking crazy. And I'm wondering, like, part of me is like, maybe she's starting fake shit about the cat, so like she could justify parking in the front. Like, instead of like, oh, I think I'm the fucking hot shit of the fucking planet and I could do whatever the fuck I want with my car, like, I'll instigate a fight over something that doesn't exist, like the cat, so I don't have to, so I could park on the front and feel better about me. Like, women do crazy shit. Women are, they'll start one fight because they're mad about something. I don't know. It's a fucking nut job. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with it. I park on the side. I can see my car from my window. It's not like it's a big fucking change from shit like that. So, the neighbor shit has been stressing me out. So I got the whole long story time with Chris on the podcast and at the beginning of the episode. But that kind of stressed me out last month. So that's why we were, I'm dealing with a fucking crazy woman. Entitled. Okay, then. Yeah, and it's funny because Darrell called her a Karen, which is like, the Karens are usually white. This is a black Karen.
Speaking of that, actually, the name, a lot of people that are having babies have, like, I guess the name Karen has gone down substantially since.
It's dropped incredibly in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
With that. And the funny thing is that, like, the two big ones were Karen and Becky. Like barbecue Becky. And, and I know a Karen and I know a Becky. And sometimes, like, I post stuff on Facebook, and if I say Karen or Becky, I feel bad. I'm like, I'm not talking about you guys. But I think, it's gotten so into the public knowledge. People are, it's not like you're offended if your name happens to. Oh, okay. One last tiny bit about this whole situation. So my landlord, who's trying to sell the apartment, mind you, we've had people walk through my apartment, potential buyers and shit like that. So my landlord has really done nothing for the situation. For a car that's parked illegally in the driveway, blocking for all the other residents like that. Oh, and oh my God, I forgot about this story. How my downstairs neighbor, his girlfriend, parked her car in the back, and so she had confronted the woman downstairs about parking, and the girlfriend had made a threat. I'm a member of AAA, and I'm gonna have a AAA tow truck come and tow your truck out of the area. And when that happened, a sister or daughter or somebody related to the woman, not the actual neighbor herself, like, assaulted my neighbor's girlfriend in the driveway when that happened. Because, of course, with all these people yelling and screaming, I can't help but hear what the fuck's I can't help but hear and notice what the hell's going on. So they assaulted my neighbor's girlfriend. And so my landlord goes, well, you have your, now mind you, they haven't done anything they haven't done anything for me. Because they should have, with a car that's parked illegally, they should have a tow truck come and fucking take it out of the way. You get, I'll give you 3 warnings. I'll send you letters in the mail and shit like that. And then, after the 5th or 6th, you give the people, like, more than 3 strikes. And after the 3rd or 4th strike, now you're out. And then you actually get a car to tow their shit. So the landlord goes, oh, well, I mean, you have your lease there, but you could break your lease if you go to one of our other apartments. And so I go, okay. And, and my landlord's one of those places that they actually have, like, a website and other listings. So I look at the listings, and, like, the next apartment up, like, no apartment is as cheap as what I got. And there's a reason why my apartment's cheap, because it's in the middle of the fucking ghetto where people shoot each other for getting hit by cars, and other people think the world fucking owes them, and they park in the driveway. But then, like, the next apartment up is, like, $325 more than what I'm paying right now. And you would think, for the fucking, like, inconvenience, like, if you're not doing a fucking job as a landlord by putting your fucking tenant in check, how about you let me move to the nicer apartment and let me pay my current rate? That's how you really justify and rectify. If I'm paying $300 cheaper than what they're expecting, and they're guaranteed to start motivated to start towing this bitches. And so, it's like, so right now, everything's still up in the air exactly what I'm going to do. My neighbor hasn't bothered me in a couple, it's been a while. She's bothered me and shit. I avoid her. So everything's still up in the air. I'm probably going to move. I just don't know where. I'm still looking and shit like that. Nobody in all the places in Rochester, I can't find a place that's cheap living now. And I'm still technically on furlough. That's maybe when I get back to work.
That's part of the problem.
And when I do go back to work, I'm going to have to, I have to scale up because, my job, I don't want to say stressful. My job had a lot of my job is detail oriented. And, I'm going to have to get back, it's like learn, I have to relearn how to ride a bike. I have to get back on the bike and, I forgot what the fucking pedals do. I forgot what the brakes do, So,
I mean, I'm almost a month back into my job and I'm still, like, remembering things.
Yeah. So, and so, like, I mean, I'm not going to be making the money immediately that I was making. And so
before,
so I kind of, I have to work my way up to, And the whole thing is, it's a situation like this where times like I wish I had a significant other. In the past year, I've become a single dad. I'm not getting any fucking child support. No one's throwing me a bone. I'm not getting anything from the fucking state or anything like that. I got Medicaid. Okay.
The good thing, Chris, is you actually can claim your daughter, which obviously I don't mean that in a negative way.
Well, for taxes. So I claim my daughter.
On top of that, you may actually get some of the stimulus money once you file your taxes too, because Layla, she died when?
June. In a couple weeks. In about 2 weeks, it'll be exactly.
So it's been a year. So did you claim your daughter last year?
No, that was the whole. No, for all those years, her mom claimed her. So this will be the first, and I have claimed her, and I got.
Oh, okay.
Well,
now you can claim.
Yeah, I've claimed her, and then there are the stimulus boosts which is funny because the stimulus boost happens to be just about $300. But for only a couple of months or a couple of payments. But.
Well, like for example, with me when I have my kid, like I think it's starting mid-June. They have a stimulus going, and like being that my kid is born in June, like once we file in next year, like he's gonna be like we're probably gonna get some of that stimulus money, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. So. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't get food stamps. Based on what I used to make and like that, I don't get food stamps. I don't get any public assistance. I just get Medicaid. Which of course is great. Because I don't have to worry. At least that's one thing I don't have to worry about right now is getting sick or anything like that, like we covered. But I don't. Right now I'm on furlough and I don't get a dime from anybody. So moving right now isn't exactly I can't exactly just pick up and go. I don't kind of luxury. That's, it is what it is. I'll be all right.
Well, you're going to have to do something at some point probably. And honestly, like, it's probably better that you just do it now and get it done.
But it's not like I'm looking for a place, and even like at least that the next place I seriously considered is in a nice area. I know that area. I used to, when I first moved to Rock, I lived 2 blocks down. And it's close. You know the area. I kind of mentioned it for the podcast. You know that area. That area is quiet as fuck. But you pay for that luxury. You pay an extra $325 a month because you're living where you're not living, where neighbors fucking take advantage of. And she's lucky I'm a fucking nice guy because any other fucking person would have slashed her tires and broke her fucking windows by now. But I try not. I'm not confrontational.
Or maybe you should have done that. Honestly.
But I'm the single fucking caretaker of I can't risk fucking going to jail. So. I'll just say, and like I said, you pay for that luxury. That's why people live that's why people live in gated community. You pay more because you can get away from fucking people who have nothing else in their lives going on. The value of their fuck. So it is what it is. And on brighter news, on nicer news, my birthday is right around the corner, as is yours, if I'm not mistaken. But but you know what it's like? I don't have any fucking plans. My birthday's on Monday. Like who the fuck? I guess I could maybe hang out the weekend, but. Nobody does anything on a fucking
Chris, I'm
Monday.
going to be a little busy.
If I could probably do something this weekend, but I don't know what it is. Like last year you had a reason, like, okay, last year fucking the world was shut down. This year, and 2 years ago is when I had that big party. I had the, and then the funny thing is that, my favorite bar was, where I had my party at, they're closed on Monday. So I can't even go to my favorite bar. Not to mention I don't even have a babysitter or anything yet, but I'm saying even if I do find a babysitter, my favorite bar is closed. There really isn't anything to do. There's no concerts or anything. There's concerts. They're advertising concert stuff, 4 or 5 months out. There is things that I do want to go to. Slipknot's playing Darien Lake. There's a comedian, Tom Segura. He's playing Atlantic City. But that's like, both of those shows are like in September or October. Like nobody's playing. Oh, nobody's fucking playing. Not in fucking Rochester. So, I'm glad. I hit the big 4-4. There's there's no big significance to the 44th birthday, but
Jesus Christ, dude, you're old.
And things are changing. That's kind of what I have in my notes. The lifting restrictions. It's weird now to go into stores now where like some stores they want the sign. If I've gotten to the point where like I keep wearing my mask because I just don't want to deal with it. So. But I've walked into stores where like I'll look and there's no sign on the door saying you must wear a mask.
Well, so like my place, and I think this is a lot of places, basically, like if you're vaccinated, you don't have to have a mask on. Which anybody who's still not vaccinated by now
and the whole thing, okay, like right by my house, they had set up it was a FEMA vaccination place. It was literally called, FEMA. It was the Army. They had the big, like, temporary buildings that look like fucking tents and shit like that, look like Army barracks. They all set up. That place is gone now. So, like it's not, I don't want to say it's not an emergency, but I'm saying is, if you've gone this far without getting your vaccine, there's something fucking wrong with you. Because you can go anywhere and get it for totally fucking free. Fucking CVS, Rite Aid, fucking, like I said, dude,
I went to Walgreens and got it for free.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, anybody who hasn't been vaccinated, like, because I know, like you say, okay, if you're vaccinated, the sign says if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Well, there's people out there now who aren't vaccinated, and the reason they're not vaccinated is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's walking around not vaccinated after fucking 2 or 3 months of pure, like, come on down, get your fucking free shot, there's something wrong with them.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, starting Friday, some of the employees can actually not have to wear a mask, and well, basically you have to be vaccinated, don't want to wear a mask, and you have to show proof, unlike us asking customers, you know what I mean? So, basically, like, I've been thinking about it, and like, even though I'm vaccinated, I've gone like a whole year, it's over a year at this point, without getting sick, severely sick. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been pumped full of 2 vaccines, the flu shot and Corona and the coronavirus vaccine. So, I feel like I'm supercharged at this point. I don't feel like it sometimes, but it's, I don't know, dude. I don't feel comfortable yet, especially like, and this is what I really wanted to talk about, was how quickly these seniors, like the minute that the CDC was like, oh yeah, if you're vaccinated, you take your masks off. It's like they literally took their masks off and went, okay, I'm good. I can walk around now. Like, you're the most vulnerable population to get sick, and you fucking are walking around without a mask on. Like, I'm sitting here going, okay. Like, I don't understand. I have people that walk in the movie theater and they find out that they don't need to have a mask on because they have a vaccination. They're like, oh, taking my mask. Oh my God. So I don't know. I'm kind of I'm on the fence of whether or not to, like, wear a mask. So like if I'm in the back with the employees, like, I may not wear a mask, especially if they're vaccinated. But like, if I'm out in the lobby with customers and that, I don't know if I'm really ready for that. Yeah. I'm definitely not ready to go into a restaurant or like Wegmans or something like that and fucking, take my mask off. I'm not ready for that because I don't trust people.
And especially that, like, let's be real here. Like where you work, it's a suburban area. And suburban areas tend to have more Trump supporters.
Well, no. That's not. It's
really nicer
true.
Than the city. Where you
well,
work. I mean,
yeah, but you got to understand, like, we're getting more of a flow from the city than we are from the suburbs. So
I'm just saying, it's like,
I mean, you can't really say, but yeah, I know.
I'm just saying is that like, I don't, because anybody who hasn't got a vaccine is either like the diehard Trump supporter type, like, I'm never gonna get the vaccine because they put microchips in you. They're a fucking psycho. I do wonder about like people who have like warrants to go to jail and shit like that. But like, I'm such a like, I would just fucking lie. I'm Mrs. John Smith. I'm fucking like, I'm coming, like, do you have your ID? I don't have my fucking ID, but I want my fucking shot. I mean, I'm just saying is that, there's people, obviously there's people who want to avoid the law. Because they have warrants for their arrest and shit like that, so you're not gonna go into a registry and say, yes, my name is Mike Smith, and knowing that there's a warrant for a Mike Smith. I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure there's people who avoided getting the shots with that. There's the people who are like, oh, it's a big conspiracy. There's the people like, oh, it's not that bad or whatever. And I don't want to be around those people, and I don't trust those people. And those are the exact people who would walk into a place and go, oh, I'm good. I'm just as good as being vaccinated. I can't fucking trust those people. You know what I'm saying? They've obviously made bad fucking decisions in their life. They just supported Trump. They obviously their decision making skills are not exactly at their peak, and I'm gonna wear my mask because I can't trust someone like that. If you put your fucking safety over everybody else's, like you put your convenience over other people's safety, I literally can't trust.
Well, so I mean, I'm of the belief. So I don't know if you've said things that I've said on Twitter, but like if I go to a con now, I'm actually probably gonna wear a mask.
Makes sense.
Just because, I mean, you know, I mean, you've been to cons. I mean, every time that, like, when we went to New York Comic Con together, I had con crud before I even walked in the door. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I might as well just fucking wear a mask, and that way I feel good for the whole week, and I can enjoy it. I'm not gonna be like dragging myself, you know what I mean? So like, like a convention, I probably will wear a mask. I'll probably have like a Toonami Faithful whatever mask, but you know, gotta rep the brand somehow.
Sure, absolutely.
And then like, you know, even like during the wintertime when like there's people coming in and the flu is rampant, I probably won't be able to wear it at work, but I may still wear a mask then too, because, you know, I'll be honest with you, like I see a lot of people around here, even though the mask mandate's gone, like I see a lot of people around here still wearing masks, which is a good thing, you know, so I like the fact that there's people here in Rochester still doing it. I mean, I just looked at the Monroe County map that maps the COVID stuff, and like we're at 58% have one shot, and I think it's just over, I want to say it's like maybe 52% have both shots. So I mean that's pretty good. I mean, New York State apparently is at 70%, so it's going to be at 70%, and they lift everything.
Yeah, the numbers are dropping, and the numbers are certainly going in the right direction. But it's just, you know, there's these people who are just persistent in their beliefs, and you know, these are the people that can't be fucking trusted. And you know, and I know this sounds weird. I like wearing a fucking mask in public. And I mind you, okay, what I'm wearing, I'm not wearing an N95. Not that I'm not. I don't have them. I wear, and this is what I wear. It's originally a thing where it's a head sock. It's one of those deals where like it has the eyes cut out, and now of course I don't wear it, you know, I'm not walking around like I'm fucking a ninja. I'm not Snake Eyes or anything like that. I take the eye part and I put it back around my head. So it's like a lycra thing that goes around mask. Now I understand the argument. A lot of people who are anti-mask, whatever, will say you're wearing that lycra thing. It's like nothing, and it's not nothing. Something is better than nothing. And so, you know, I wear this lycra thing. I like walking into a store where someone can't see my face. I kind of like the anonymity. You know, when you walk into you know. As much as I'm Mr. fucking left-wing and left-wing politics, you know, the one place I go to all the time, and that's only because money's an issue, I do go to Walmart. That's the one place that I should avoid Walmart like plague, but, you know, I don't use Amazon. I don't use other websites that are fucking totally evil. But the one evil place that I do spend my money is at Walmart. And when you walk into a Walmart, like, there's a million fucking cameras in. And it's funny when sometimes you'll see the cameras that, like, you know, they have cameras that, like, follow your hands, like, not when they call it follow your hands, excuse me, like when you see the thing where you look at the picture and like the boxes track your face and shit like that. So they have cameras, you know, like they have that have that extra layer of like really looking at what you're doing, as opposed to just cameras being there to like if someone will see it. But you know, they kind of, you know, they have, and and quite frankly, I don't like the idea of me walking to a place and then like. You know, I'm walking. Now, of course, yes, I'm walking around with a cell phone in my pocket. That's just as bad. I'm giving away my location. I use my debit card when I pay for my food. So there's another fucking thing there, letting the world know exactly where I am, the moment I am, and actually what the fuck I bought too, because it's really fucking creepy. I bought something online, and then like I made a purchase. Then I made like a regular purchase, and so then I looked up what I was looking up what I bought the day later, and I was signed into my website. It was like, the website said, as you had purchased in the past. So, the website's keeping fucking track of what you're buying. You know, I can understand them keeping the shit that I ordered online, because I ordered something online. But this is the thing I bought in the store. But since I was signed into account, I was just looking it up. I just wanted to double check the price. And then it said, as, you know, the website, as you have ordered in the past, motherfucker. So, yes, I do understand tracked 50 different ways here to Sunday. But I like the idea, comfortable with the idea of me walking through with my face covered. I don't like people seeing my face. And so I'm going to continue to wear a fucking mask. I like that weird sort of anonymity. You know, I mean, we already give away so much of our shit. Just doing this podcast, I give away a lot of my fucking privacy. I understand that. But, you know, if I could put an extra layer of fucking, where I wear a lycra thing around my fucking mouth and shit, hey, you know, I'm not exactly fighting it. You know, there's people, no, you can't fucking breathe in it. Well, through my lycra, I could breathe fucking perfect. I don't know. So
no, I'm just of the belief that, you know, until the whole country's like 70%, I'm not really like a fan of just, I don't know, I'm not even a fan of if somebody just gets the first shot. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not a fan until like 70% of the country has 2 shots. They're fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I'm just very weird right now. And I'll be honest with you, like I was saying, like in the wintertime, mm-hmm. I mean, I may just still wear a mask. Like,
and let me tell you, I'm always gonna keep masks in my car. I got masks in my car. I got masks in my. Don't get me wrong. I got used, and not used. I got ones that okay, they've been, like I said, the Lycra thing. I'll wear that for a while before I wash it, which is sort of my, I should not do that. But like, I keep bandanas in my car. I think the rest of my life, I'm gonna keep something that can be the mask, especially in my car, because that's a place where you have it. When you leave it in your glove box, you're always gonna have it. So I call me damaged by the year 2020, but 30 years from now, if I'm still alive.
I just think that because of how, like, for example, like TorCon, for example, which is that the small con here in Rochester that's at RIT, like. I mean, I may not wear a mask to that one. There's not as many people, but like a huge con, like MomoCon or New York City Comic Con or whatever, like, I'm of the belief that, hey, if it worked for a year, I might as well do it and stay healthy. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
The flu numbers were ridiculously low this year. Flu dropped like crazy.
It was virtually like not even there at this point.
And it's, so, I mean, if we, now of course, there's going to be variants and there's going to be, and there's still going to be flu shots and stuff like that. But, if you can tell me that this little extra step will keep you from fucking getting that, when you get the real flu, the one that knocks you on your ass for a couple of days or sometimes even longer, if you're going to tell me that wearing the mask could help me from not getting the flu also, fuck that, And we've all, I think, luckily, one thing that even though people don't wear masks, people have gotten into a good habit of washing and stuff like that. I certainly wash my hands more. I keep hand sanitizer in my car the second I get in my car. That's part of my routine. As soon as I sit down and I close my door, like I put hand sanitizer on, especially if I'm getting in my car from like wherever I was, maybe not when I'm leaving my apartment. But like as soon as I get in my car from wherever I was, I put hand sanitizer. So like we've sort of over the past learned good habits. So if you could tell me that that's going to avoid me getting the fucking flu and being knocked on my ass, I'm getting the flu more than happy. I always live that way.
I laugh like when people say like, oh, nobody's going to shake hands anymore. Like, dude, I've started shaking hands again. Like these habits are going to come back. I mean, it's not like we're in like we've gone to the dark ages and we can't touch each other or whatever, but it's at the same time, like, am I going to go out to things anymore? I mean, my girlfriend.
You don't go out any. You still owe me a fucking beer from 2 birthdays ago.
That's true. That is true. Like,
and we're quote unquote friends. No, we're
strangers. I mean, listen. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I wasn't really like a big going out kind of person, that. Mm-hmm. But it's even more now. Like, I mean, yeah, I would go to restaurants without even batting an eye. Now it's kind of like we would go to there's a Chinese buffet out here where we live, and like we would go there because there was virtually nobody in there, and like it would be nice because you could eat and you didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to have like all these people around us and we're going to have to put like wrapping paper around us so we don't have to like, worry about places. Like, one place there's like a bar I drive by. And I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about, Chris. I talk about it all the time on Facebook. Like, literally, dude, even during COVID, this place was packed. And I'm sitting there like, first of all, there was no way when it was 50%, it was 8%. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, I'm looking at my girlfriend. I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, that's why I don't want to go to a restaurant, because I don't want to fucking deal with all these stupid ass people. Like, and it's been interesting, like with my job, because one of the things, like, for example, if somebody comes in, thankfully this hasn't happened. I mean, I'm sure if it was wintertime, it would happen. But like if somebody was coming in and having coughing fits, I probably would have to go to them and be like, you need to go. Like, you can't stay here because you're not feeling good. Because if somebody's having a coughing fit in theater, do you think that those people in that theater are going to stay and watch the movie? No. Yeah. They're going to go, especially with COVID now. So, it's going to be an interesting time to see, like, especially in the wintertime, to see like how people react to things like that, because they may tell us to still be like, yeah, if you hear somebody coughing, you may want to say to them, hey, are you good? Like, because if you're gonna have coughing fits, we'll get you a refund and let you be on your way. You know, It may be like that. It may actually be like that. And I mean, the movie industry like is coming back. I mean, I can see it myself. So it's I don't think COVID kind of destroyed everything. I actually think COVID will help us in the long run because people don't want to be home. People fucking like I've heard actual people, like I heard a couple people today that are like, dude, I'm sick and tired of being in front of my TV at home watching Netflix and, you know, just being at home. I want to be out and watching a movie in a theater or something or doing something. And I'm like, I like what I hear here. And it's also funny because, like, you know, we were talking about this off the podcast. It's funny because you don't have anybody. You would think that like, for example, like The Conjuring, just, you know, that's free on HBO Max. You have HBO Max. But here's the thing. These movies, even though they're out there online, they're doing like really good for their like coming out. So it's like,
yeah, they're doing decent business, you know, for like, when there are people who just sit it. You do have the option of just watching it at home. Yeah, of course you have to pay for the service.
In some ways they're doing more than decent, Chris. Like they're doing enough business where you sit there and you go, oh, maybe this streaming thing isn't going to hurt.
Yeah, because, I mean, it is the experience. Going to the theater is an experience. It's the whole, you know, you go into the theater and there's part of the reminiscence just from childhood and the smell of the popcorn and the theater and it's sort of like this community experience. I mean, you know, it is, you know, it's not like, you know, I don't go on. I'm sorry.
I don't think. Yeah, sorry. No, you're good. I don't think it's the experience. I think it's more like I was saying that they want to get out, but also like, you know, we were talking also about like, for example, like Cruella's out. It's been out for 2 weeks now. I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard the same thing from several people. Like they have Disney Plus, and yes, they could pay $30 to see like a Cruella or Raya when it was on premium for like that. But like me, and I've heard this several times, like people are like, fuck that, I'm not going to pay $30. It's going to be free in like 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Why would I pay that? By the way, I can go to the theater and it's cheaper.
Yeah, because like, if you're going to go see it on a date, like if you're on a date, yeah, why pay $30 to see it in the house when one, you're on a date. It's cheap. You sound like a real cheap fucker. Be like, hey, let's watch Cruella at my house. But I'm saying, like, you know, even if you go and you buy, you know, the $30, if you spend $30, that's the 2 tickets and popcorn and soda and shit like that for $30. As opposed to $30 where you're sitting in the house and, you know, so, you know, you're sort of, you know, you're the two kind of balance out. I mean, now, of course, if you have 4 kids, shit like that, it may be cheaper to watch it at home on a premium, $30, so you don't have to pay for all the fucking little brats. But, you know, if you're going on a date, it is literally cheaper.
I mean, it's like the example I was making for you, like the theaters out here have discount day on Tuesday. So you take your family, let's say you have five people all together in your family, you take 5 people to the movies, you're spending what? Like, let's say 5, let's just round it off and 6. 6 times 5 is $30. So you're paying exactly the same amount of money as if you were watching it on Disney Plus. Like, to me, that just makes sense to go to the theater and get the experience. You know what I mean? So I think it's just one of those things where people are kind of just, you know, realizing on top of the fact that they're now realizing that my theater's actually open, which I keep getting people. It's getting really annoying, like to the point where I'm sitting there going, like, can we advertise? I know we don't have any money, but can we advertise? Because people still don't know we're open. Like, it's to that point, Chris. It's really to that point where I'm just like sitting there going, wow, people don't even know they were open. And the great thing though is people are like, oh, now I don't have to go to insert competitor. Like, I'm like, that's fine. Come on in. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've been like, even like one thing too that I've seen, like when people buy tickets online, or yeah, I would say like when people buy tickets online, they're buying more concession. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like people are like, oh, well, I don't have to wait in line, so I'm gonna buy concessions. I'm like, okay. So it's like, it's just this this new COVID thing going on. It's just so weird to see, you know? So,
yeah,
I don't know.
And I think, well, you know, also like the numbers, I think, well, one, I mean, to ask them to advertise after a year of eating shit, I mean, they may not have the money to and the budget to advertise. But it's also like in the summer, like it's not officially summer yet. I mean, I know technically, okay, it's after Memorial Day and whatever, but the kids,
Right.
at least by us, kids are still in school. Like it's not summer until the kids are out of school. Like in another week or two, then you guys are going to be fucking rock and rolling, because then it's going to flex summer.
yeah,
the kids
yeah,
are sitting
yeah,
at home all
I
day, and
think-
the parents are like, hey, we got to fucking do something. I'm going to kill this little shit.
I think that's gonna kind of be where we see, because I mean, excuse me, like I was saying to you, so Fast and the Furious comes out June 25th, I think is that Friday. You go 2 weeks after that is Black Widow, and then I think there's a couple in July that are big too. And I think the new Suicide Squad's in August, if I remember. And I think there might be a couple sprinkled in August. And then there's those movies that got moved back that are sprinkled throughout September, October, November, and even in December. And I'm just sitting here going, wow, this is going to be an interesting like end of the year kind of thing going on. And then even next year, there's a lot of big blockbusters here. So it's like, okay, maybe we're just going to ramp up from here and see what happens. Because, people may go to insert competitor, but if they like a certain theater, they're going to go to that theater.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to be really interesting to see like how busy the movie industry is going to be, especially once we get past Black Widow, because I think Black Widow is going to do rips.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been waiting for that. So.
And I think just this summer in general, I think I'm gonna tell you, the watchers, they're gonna say COVID numbers the STD numbers are probably gonna shoot through the fucking roof this summer. I think everybody's been cooped up. Everyone, as soon as these restrictions are slowly dropping, people are gonna lose their fucking minds. They're gonna go out and party, and
It's really funny. It's really funny because I've seen some articles where they're talking about how there wasn't a lot of people didn't get pregnant during COVID, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking through my Facebook. I'll go through, Wegmans, for example, because you notice that more when you're going through the experience yourself. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there and you're going, are you sure about that? Because here I'm seeing a lot of people that I know, and here in Rochester I see a lot of women that are pregnant, dude. And I'm like sitting here going, I don't know. I don't know about that. Exactly. I mean, what else are you doing? You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know. It's been this last year has been a very interesting year. And I'm just glad to be back to work, because I just can't sit at home, dude. I painted all the rooms pretty much on the first floor of our house, because number one, they needed to be painted, but also number two, I had nothing else to do. Literally. I mean, the only two things I didn't do was the kitchen and the bathrooms. They're going to get remodeled at some point, and so we can sell this house eventually. So it's just you know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, who knows? You may get to a point where you're like, I need a house. And at that same point, I may be like, well, we're buying a new house, so why don't you buy this house?
Yeah. When work gets back in full swing. I think with that, we should take our break right now, and we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc., 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds?
Necrophilia.
It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
did
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Victory Championship Wrestling presents Lethal Leap Year, on sale now for $9.99. Don't miss a single body slam or epic moment. Witness the showdown between Big Smooth and Johnny Slaughter for the BCW Championship. Go to bcwaction.com for exclusive events. Only found on bcwaction.com. And as an added bonus, the first 100 people to order this event will receive a free front row seat to the next event.
And we're back. All right, Paul, let's get to the nerdy news. As you had mentioned right before we took the break about wearing masks to con. And speaking of con, usually, I've been going to New York Comic Con the past 5 years. Well, last year, no, because obviously the world under lockdown. But usually around this time, end of May, beginning of June, the press passes and stuff like that. At least we get the acknowledgement, we get the email, we get something in there, some sort of heads up of press passes. This year's, I don't know if this year's a little different or what, because obviously nobody that I know, nobody on our network, people have received any because you haven't received anything, right? You haven't.
I don't think
press
so.
passes,
yeah.
and I to the best of my knowledge, because usually as soon as something comes through, I'll hear from Matt, or I'll hear from John Galbo, or I'll hear from you, and none of us have received any kind of press stuff. Now, New York Comic Con, it seems like last year, because of like stuff that happened they're pushing their metaverse, and the company's called Reed Pop, REED Pop, and they organize cons throughout the country. And I'm pretty sure it's like obviously New York Comic Con is their crown jewel because they're actually in competition with the San Diego Comic Con. So one of the things they're pushing this year is what they call their metaverse. And the whole thing is it's a hell of a lot easier to organize because you're not getting celebrities into getting people on webcams, getting people, and not that there's anything wrong with it. The metaverse was fine last year. I enjoyed it. I watched a bunch of streaming things that were going on, and it seems a hell of a lot easier to organize. And of course, I'm pretty sure there are actors who don't want to go into a building with 40,000 people in a day. God knows who has their vaccinations or not. But they did announce that they're going to have New York Comic Con. It's going to be October 7th, 10th, or around about those days. And they've announced like for fans to buy tickets. They've set it up. They said in the next couple of days you're gonna get an email. For us, I don't know if it is that they're gonna start sending emails like for the people in the past fan who went in as bought tickets or purchased tickets. So maybe in the next couple of days we'll get an email at the very least. I'm wondering. Maybe they're going to cut down the whole press issue. This would be the first year back after the pandemic, so God knows what the hell's going on. But it just feels weird. Usually this time this year, right around my birthday, and and then, I think I had a post even from 2 years ago that just popped up in my Facebook memories about it was just around this day 2 years ago where I got approved for the 2019. New York Comic Con, so it just feels weird that things are being pushed back. But once again, it's going to be a smaller event. They said that it's going to be a smaller event, and there's less numbers of people, stuff like that. And I don't mind wearing my mask going to Comic-Con. Shit, I'll take my vaccination record and I'll fucking laminate it and I'll put it right with my badge. So it's nice on display. So look, here I am. You can let me in this room. I'm 100% good. And it's not a fake one. I am kind of worried, things are getting pushed back. I hope it's not like they start really cutting down press, unless you're fucking, unless you're literally what's a big site, unless you're io9.com or something like that, unless you're, I hope they continue to let podcasts and stuff like that have a presence when it comes to press, because, I'm wondering if maybe only if you're only you have 50 billion viewers, then we'll let you on or something like that. So I'm worried, but then again, I understand if they do it, it'll just break my heart. Then I'll have to go as a fan. I don't want to miss it. I'm a little I'm a little apprehensive about going into a room with 40,000, going into like Jacob Javits Center, which oddly enough was like the place they were planning to use in case there was like overflow from the hospital. It was like they were ready to have that place where they kept the bodies and shit. But it'd be more, I want to go to Comic-Con as weary as I am, that'll feel like normalcy, that'll feel like a back to normal, because Comic-Con, and it's funny, and you'd mentioned the con crud. For the 4 or 5 years that I went, not once did I get con crud, and I'm barreling through the fucking thing, 4 days, I exhausted myself, but that's more just I'm a fat fuck. Not about, I never got like runny nose or sniffles, just exhaustion from being on my feet, want to get up and being in bed and being, maybe not dehydrated, but, wanting to drink plenty of fluids and shit like that. Yeah, let's see how it goes. I think in the next couple of days we'll probably be hearing something. A lot of deaths since the last episode. I just have like a Tiny Lister, dead. DMX, dead. Paul Mooney, dead. Shock G, the guy from the Humpty Dance, who was also Humpty Hump, dead. And then the guy from that infamous laughing, because I said Spanish laughing guy. Do you know the video that I'm talking about? Where it's like a guy, older Spanish guy. He has like a mustache. He's speaking in Spanish and he's telling the story. And he has like a mustache. He's missing teeth, so he kind of looks like. And I've watched the translated version where he's telling a story about how he used to work at a restaurant. They had like iron pans, and the chef told him to take the iron pans because it's so hard to scrub them, to tie them to ropes and put them out for the seawater. And the seawater helps get them clean. Like, it's not as hard after they've soaked in seawater or the, salt water from the beach or whatever. And so he's telling the story, and then he talks about how when he left the restaurant like at midnight, and the chef told him, all right, put out the pans tonight at midnight, but we also need you back at the restaurant at 6 a.m. So he goes back, he puts the pans out, goes to the beach, puts the pans out, comes back at 6 a.m. Out of 20 pans, 19 are gone. And only one's left, and it's because he had put the pans down and was low tide. Then high tide came in. Basically, all the pans got sucked away to the ocean. And as he's telling the story, he's cracking up. He's laughing. He's really fucking intense. And so what people were doing were they were taking that conversation, putting like fake captions. So it was like, they were talking about, he wanted to put out the new iPhone, but the iPhone doesn't have an earphone dock, and you need a dongle for everything. And let's take the camera and not even have it even close to what an Android camera is like. They'll take that like a guy, like if it's a guy telling a story like he worked at Apple. But when like how the iPhone's always kind of like underwhelming, like they never, like they're not as good as like Android. So and let's do this, and let's make it so you can never get the battery out, so you're stuck with the battery. We'll decide when it stops working and shit like that. But those captions over the guy laughing, like he's telling the story about, and that's the most popular one. But I've seen it with other stories that are coming out with MacBook, and let's change this, change that, So the Spanish laughing guy is dead. So what do we have? Loki, as recording this, the new Loki, really fucking good. Because I think last time I recorded it was Falcon and Winter Soldier, because WandaVision is so good. The end kind of felt a little under, especially the whole, them with the brother not being from another universe, like the brother from, Ralph. That was sort of a letdown because we thought that was going to finally introduce us to the multiverse. But as we're walking Thor, and okay, I'm sorry. So WandaVision was really good. The ending could have been a little better, but it was pretty good. Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't a bad show. I enjoyed it. It got, once again, the last episode, it got a little fucking heavy-handed. It got a little like, politicians, you have to do better, and people feel disenfranchised and all this other shit. And I get where it's going. Sometimes, I wasn't in the mood for a political diatribe. I want to see superheroes punching each other, punching bad guys and punching villains. I don't want to hear, we need reform in the government, But it was good for what it was, and it had like quote unquote like first Captain America was a black man and stuff like that, and it was sort of like Tuskegee experiment like that. It was deep. Don't get me wrong, and maybe because like for some people that's and not to sound like I'm insensitive and shit. For some people that's more important to them. So like the show kind of resonated with them more. But it was good. I enjoyed it. And then, like I said, the first episode of Loki, which now they finally do. They acknowledge the multiverse in Endgame, like when something goes off track and then it leaves, there's a branch off into another multiverse, where in Loki, and it's not really a spoiler, they say that I guess at one point there were multiverses, and and allegedly what they're saying is they were saying dimensions were fighting with each other amongst the multiverse. So this guy is called the Timekeepers, kill every other timeline or mash up all the timelines in one. So there's one what they call the divine timeline, and so it's about Loki kind of they need Loki to help, because he violated the timeline when he took the Tesseract, and not the end, but when the last time we see him in Endgame, he grabs the Tesseract and disappears. Well, that sets off a branch off the timeline, it's not part of the divine plan, so they're recruiting him to okay, you're powerful and stuff like that. We're gonna need you to help us with other people who have what they call variants, people who have left the timeline like that. There's a little more to it, but I don't want to spoil it. I could say that much without really spoiling it. There's a little more to it, to a twist. I don't want to get into twist at the episode, but that's pretty much the. And and then the cool thing is that the Time Variance Administration, or whatever the hell TVA they called it, it looks like shit out of the 70s with old clunky computers and lights and offices that are lined with wood and shit like that, old school analog technology and shit. Looked pretty good. You haven't seen it, right? Or
no, I actually haven't seen any of the Marvel series, even though I've been here pretty much. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I will eventually. It's just yeah. I'm having trouble keeping up with Toonami shows, so it's maybe I'll stay to the Toonami shows, catch up, and then maybe I'll do something. But we'll see.
And while we're sticking with Marvel, let me see, we have so they finished Thor: Blood and Thunder, and it was a picture of Taika Waititi. They took a picture with Chris Hemsworth, which holy shit, Chris Hemsworth. The joke was, he was Fat Thor or whatever in Endgame, hitting the gym like a motherfucker. But I guess, and I heard about this as the rumor, but I guess it's been confirmed that he's doing a Hulk Hogan biopic. So
he is. Or supposedly.
And when you see the picture, holy shit, he looks fucking he's looked good in the past. Don't get me wrong, but like a fucking monster now.
Do you want me to give you a room with him? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I could admire a guy who obviously puts the work into. I'm not attracted to that, but I could appreciate the fact that the guy's been hitting the fucking gym. It's swole AF. And then the funny thing is, then a couple days right before they had announced the finishing of the filming of Thor: Blood and Thunder, there were pictures that were released by paparazzi where they showed Taika Waititi, Tessa Thompson, the girl who plays Valkyrie, and this pop singer who I've never heard of before, but her name is Rita Ora, kind of all sitting on and I put the picture on my Facebook today, where they're all they're making out with each other. He's making out with Tessa, then he's making out with Rita, then Rita and Tessa making out, and it was sort of this a three-way relationship, or some people call it throuple. And I believe Tessa in the past had come out as at the very least asexual. So, and obviously I guess Rita Ora. I mean, I don't know about Rita Ora. I don't know who the fuck she was. Apparently she's a. So Taika, hey, much power to him. Girls, he's making out with them, and if they're doing that shit in public, God knows what they're doing in private. So, and part of me was sort of good for him. He makes good movies. He deserves his threesomes and shit like that. I hope, as long as it doesn't fucking fuck up his directing style, more power to him. Because I love Thor Ragnarok. I love I liked What We Do in Shadows, but the TV show What We Do in Shadows is fucking hilarious. So we wouldn't have the TV show if we didn't have the movie. And I think he had a movie called The Wilder People, or Hunt for the Wilder People, or something like that, where it had the fat kid from Deadpool 2. That was the movie that made him famous. It was Taika Waititi's movie, and it was one of Taika Waititi's it was his first or second movie about this kid who's a juvenile delinquent, but then he kind of he starts hanging out with the guy who's sort of a naturalist, a guy who lives out in the woods and wants the guy he kills everything he eats, he kills in the forest, and he lives in the forest, and so they start hanging out, and it's not a family flick. It's a lot of cursing and shit like that. But it's a heartwarming, because there's a lot of heart in that movie about a kid who's been rejected by society, and then a guy who sort of rejects society himself, taking in the kid and sort of becomes a surrogate father. So Taika Waititi makes good movies. So I'm glad he's able to get his pimp game on and and get himself a three-way. And as we mentioned, Black Widow, it's funny, like Loki will just started now, goes on for a couple more weeks, and we'll probably go right into Black Widow when that comes up. So, and in the interim, since Falcon and Winter Soldier and the beginning of Loki, Disney had started pushing Bad Batch. It was the story about the clone troopers who were sort of they were all sort of like weird reject clone troopers. Like I don't know if they were. I didn't finish watching all of Clone Wars, so I don't know if they were on purpose or by mistake. But they're all like variants. Like one's really big and strong, and one is the more like a hunter, and one's the tech guy, and one almost looks like he's dead, like he's a zombie or something. And then there was one that was like a sharpshooter. And since they are variants of the clones, when Order 66 happens, they don't, when all the clone troopers were programmed that as soon as they heard Order 66, that means kill every Jedi around you. Well, these guys they're variants. They're not programmed the way the other clone troopers are created, whether on purpose or not. And I forgot. There's also a little girl cloner. I mean, so I don't know if that spoils the first episode, but there's also a little girl that's part of the team. So it's like because remember, Jango Fett wanted Boba Fett as a son. Like he said, give me as the son that ages naturally. And but is a clone. So I guess they did one where it was a clone, but whatever reason ended up being a girl. So it feels weird to say the girl is the she doesn't fit the template of all the other clone troopers. So once again, when Order 66 was delivered, all of these troopers they don't understand what's going on. What's Order 66? And meanwhile, all the other troopers are just killing all the Jedis, and we gotta get the fuck out of here. Everything crazy's going. Now they're going on. So it's not a bad show. I mean, maybe it's because I didn't get into the Clone Wars as I have. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm watching it. I'm up to like episode. So Disney kind of filled and I think they're going to keep doing that. They're going to have between the Mandalorian and all the shows they announced next year. There's other Boba Fett gets his own show, and they were planning to have a show with Cara Dune. I don't know what they're going to do with that now from Deadpool 1. I was saying all types of outlandish shit online. But they're so it seems like Disney Plus between their Star Wars shows and Marvel shows are going to fucking they're going to have at least. Every 2-3 weeks, we're not going to go more than 2-3 weeks without one of the Marvel or Star Wars shows sort of filling the gaps in between the movies and stuff. Okay. I don't know if we were talking about, probably before the podcast, you had mentioned the movie Spiral. I saw it. I wanted to like it. I like Chris Rock, and I know Chris Rock produced this movie. And I swear to God, Chris Rock just cannot get a good movie made. Pootie Tang and Head of State, and every movie where Chris Rock's the fucking star, it's just not a good flick. And I love Chris Rock as a comedian. I think he's after like George Carlin and Richard Pryor. I mean, Chris Rock I think even beats out David Chappelle. And that's not just shit on Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's but I'm saying like if I had ranked them, I'd say like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. If I had to put comedians in order. So I love Chris Rock, but the guy just cannot put out a good movie. And Spiral, it's in the Saw universe, but spoiler alert, and I'll just fucking say it. Like it's not Saw. It's a guy who is using like the copycat. Except the twist in this is that all the people that he's torturing are dirty cops. So it's sort of like, you lied on the stand, so now here's a machine that's gonna rip your lips off. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. I mean, I get it, and I understand what he's trying to, and the ending is kind of cool. Like, if you could see it, when it comes out on Netflix or whatever stream comes out, definitely watch it. But, I wouldn't say run out the theater and see it because I do kind of like what they did with the ending, but it felt a little like, cops are the bad guys and cops need to be punished and shit like that. Even though Chris Rock is the only good one or whatever, but I don't know, it kind of has that whole feel to it. But in the Saw universe, which like. Instead of punishing people for like taking their lives for granted, now it's purposely punishing bad cops, which is like, okay, I get it. You don't have to hit me over the head with. Wrath of Man, saw that, fucking awesome. Because I went to not to shit on you or anything. Went to the drive-in, the local drive-in, and it was a double feature of Wrath of Man, which is a Jason Statham movie. And it's funny because like it didn't get a big push, but it's about Jason Statham, a armored car service. But then the mafia gets involved, shit, and it's definitely like a guy testosterone. It's definitely an action. I thought it was fucking. And it's a Guy Ritchie movie. That's what sold me. That's what like all right, I'm there. It's a Guy Ritchie movie, and then the second movie of the double feature was Nobody with the guy from Better Call Saul, and it's basically it's like John Wick. It's a guy he worked for the mafia, wants to go with normal life. then something bad happens to his father's life, and he has to bring out all his special skills and shit like that. And it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be like, according to the movie, I mean, he was like an assassin beforehand. It's not like he's a schlubby guy who became an assassin. He was an assassin who turned into a schlubby guy who then, got kind of, forced his hand to go back to being an assassin. So, once again, both those movies, turn off your brain, turn up your testosterone, give them a shot. They were both good. There's the show Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which I've only seen the first episode, and it's like about a world that gets a pandemic, and all these people start dying, but then at like the same day the pandemic started, babies are being born being half human and half some other animal. There's like half human, half monkey, half human, half owl, and then there's this one kid who's half human, half deer. And I've only seen the first episode. It looks really good, and I'm hearing good things about it. And apparently, like, of the animal people, like, there's no such thing as another half human. So he's even more unique. The first episode had, Will Forte. And generally, like, Will Forte irritates me. I don't like him. And I might do. I watched, like, Last Man on Earth. I did like MacGruber, but he's kind of like, he gets really fucking annoying. But luckily, like, he plays the role very serious in that episode so it's not him being a silly, goofy guy. They actually I'm glad he could show she has his range where he can see, because he's like the father character of this. He kind of takes him, and it's not really spoiling it. He kind of takes the kid into the woods to kind of protect them because he knows, I guess I don't, they haven't revealed it yet, but like he took the kid as soon as it happened. He kind of knew shit was going to go down. So we haven't revealed how he knew shit was going to go down. The first episode of that. Resident Evil 8. The video game Resident Evil 8, made big waves on the internet recently because, everybody wants to see this, big titty, 12-foot tall vampire lady. Now, I don't have the game, but I've been watching a lot of what they call playthrough. A lot of people, they'll play the game and they talk about, they'll talk while they're playing the game. So, like, I know there's that, like, how the fuck could you watch someone play a video game? It's like any other video. You're watching someone, they're playing the video game, but they're also talking and they're entertaining and stuff. So I've watched a couple of Let's Play. The whole thing about that vampire lady in Resident Evil 8 is that when you play the game, you basically kill her and her daughters in the first, like, 25 minutes of the game. So all this hubbub that people were making about the sexy way, and don't be wrong, I mean, it was interesting, and I joined in. I was like, yeah, step on me, mommy. But, when you're playing the game, and unless, like, you're taking forever to fucking get the game started, like, if you know what you're doing, you kill her and her daughters, like, in the first 25, and then there's all these other mini bosses, and it's sort of like the game. Watching these Let's Plays, and I haven't watched every one, but I'm saying is I've seen most of the gameplay. This real, like, you go through this area that has zombies and werewolves, then you got to fight a boss. Then you find another area that has zombies and werewolves, and you find a boss. And you find the zombies and werewolves, and you find a boss. So it's sort of like, it feels so. And of course, all the Resident Evil games were sort of on the rails. They were never really open, but this feels so, like, forced. And the game looks beautiful. That's the whole thing, is that, like, the last two games, they've been really pushing their own, like, Resident Evil engine, like, the program they use to make the games that makes such beautiful, incredible visuals. And don't get me wrong, the game looks beautiful. But the gameplay is sort of boring, and I'm watching the videos because the people are entertaining playing it. But if I was playing this by myself and not listening to other people's commentary, I'm like, it's shoot a couple zombies and werewolves. That's like the big add-on to this game, is this werewolves. And then a boss. And then a couple more and a boss. And I mean, I guess it was kind of like that in the older games, but I don't know, it seems so evident in this. And especially that everyone got all hot and bothered over the fucking vampires, and the vampires are dead in just 20 minutes. Let's see. The Shang-Chi, I should have mentioned that when we were talking about Marvel Shang-Chi trailer, with the 10 rings. I mean, if you remember from the original Iron Man, they had mentioned the 10 rings, which it was weird because the 10 rings in the comics were actual physical rings on the guy's hand. But I guess they felt, since we're just finishing the whole phase of, the Marvel movies that had Infinity Gauntlet, having the Mandarin wear rings on his fingers would probably be a little, I don't know, it would be beating people over the head, and they wouldn't like it. So they have these 10 rings, which are almost like 10 bracelets that sort of like connect to people's arms, and I guess and it helps you do karate or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see Shang-Chi, what they do with it. Like, one of the beauty of all these Marvel movies is that they're all sort of like, one movie's a heist movie, and one movie's one movie's a spy thriller, and the other one is sort of a space opera. Shang-Chi will probably be the first martial arts movie, even though if you really want to count Iron Fist on their Netflix show, but a lot of people hated that fucking. Looks interesting. It's got the girl. I hate her name. They call her Aquafina. Like that's her name that she's given herself. And she has a show on Comedy Central. I believe it's also on HBO Max called Kim Queens or something. And it's a really fucking funny show. If you have HBO Max, check it out. It's with Aquafina, and I hate that fucking name. But it was just something about, growing up in New York, because she's obviously from New York City. She has a New York accent when she talks, New York City accent. And she just reminds me of so many girls I grew up with. I grew up on the edge of China. Yes, technically they're Chinese, but they're very Americanized and stuff like that. So she has that New York accent, but, with the way she looks. But she's also trying to embrace a little bit of her culture through because she's like in that particular show, she's half Chinese and half Korean. And I'm not a weeb, but I know like on the Toonami Faithful podcast you got a Japanese and Korean girl, but I'm not a weeb, but I have a special place in my heart for Aquafina. She just reminds me of so many girls that I grew up. And then also on HBO Max, this show called That Damn Michael Che. If you watch Saturday Night Live, the head writer for the Weekend Update guy, they gave him the show, and the best way I could describe it is it's a new Chappelle show. If you like the Chappelle show and irreverent humor, especially mostly race, centrally focusing on race and stuff like that. And I found this out recently is that Michael Che is from my neighborhood, right where I grew up. Michael Che grew up maybe a mile away from my house and stuff like that. I didn't grow up in the projects, but I had one projects on one side of the street, across the street from me, other projects on the other side, and then you walk a little further, and then then you get to the projects where Michael Che grew up. So don't get me wrong, I want my slice of the fucking pie. I want to be famous too, but it's nice to see someone from the neighborhood doing well. But like I said, if you like the Chappelle Show, definitely check out That Damn Michael Che. It's on HBO Max. And the funny thing is they even goof on it because it's sort of like in the show there's even like a joke where like he goes to the black church or whatever and the preacher's like, it's not even on HBO, it's on HBO Max. He's like, but it's just HBO Max and HBO, same thing. Not really, come on. Okay. I have a Roku TV, but I don't think you have to have a Roku to subscribe to the Roku service. I think you could just go online and just sign up. And there's other, there's like Pluto and TV streaming service. I forgot. There's Pluto and one other one that they're totally free, but they're all kind of have the same channels. Where they're a bunch of streaming services. They have a bunch of content. And you can watch it. Well, and the reason I bring up the Roku one is that Roku pretty much got all the shows that Quibi, Quibi, it's supposed to be, a streaming service you can only watch from your phone, and it's only 10-minute shows, and it happened right in the beginning of the pandemic. And so, the people from Quibi blamed the pandemic. Of course, you're making these shows that like 10-minute shows, like it's supposed to be like you watch them, Quibi standing for Quick Bites. And so they had some interesting shows. So now, since I have a Roku, but I can watch it once again, I think you don't need a Roku TV to subscribe to the service because I could also watch it on my computer. But they have they got the people from Reno 911, so it's the newest season of Reno 911, and it's like 25 episodes. I mean, once again, they're 10 minutes a pop, but and I love Reno 911. And then there's this great show called Dummy, and it's based on, well, obviously the show's obviously like a fantasy, but it's based on the fact that oh my goodness, what's the name of the guy that created Rick and what's his name?
I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
I want to say Justin Roiland, but not Justin Roiland, the other guy, the guy who made Community. And
Justin Roiland is one of them.
It's Justin Roiland, but I'm saying the other guy, Hammond. Oh my God, how could I forget his other guy?
Well, you need to look this up now.
Creator Dan Harmon. There we go.
Dan Harmon.
Okay, so the show is about it's not Dan Harmon, it's Donald Logue, the actor Donald Logue things, and so it's Donald Logue plays Dan Harmon, but it's about his girlfriend finding out that he has a sex doll. So he has a sex doll in the closet or whatever, and so his girlfriend finds it. Like I think he mentions it to her. Like he doesn't necessarily keep it a secret. And he goes, oh yeah, and I have her in my closet, whatever. So his girlfriend, sort of being nosy, goes to see the sex doll, and then in her head, the sex doll is like alive and it's talking to her. Now, mind you, like I said, this is Dan Harmon. Like the guy, they call him Dan Harmon, even though it's played by another actor and shit like that. But and so apparently, I don't know if it's the creator of the show or just based on the story because Dan Harmon, he had a podcast called Harmontown, and he told the stories about how he's a sex doll. But it's a really funny show, and it's got Anna Kendrick from the Pitch Perfect movies, and so Anna Kendrick is the girlfriend, and then she's running on with the sex doll, and they use like animation, CGI or whatever to make it look like the doll's talking and stuff like that. But apparently, it's not like it's only she's the only one that could hear her and see it talk. But it's pretty funny. Don't get me wrong, it's really raunchy. It's not for kiddies or anything. But I was cracked, and I feel bad because they only did like 10 episodes, and I really wish that someone would pick it up or another, because it was a really fucking fun. I mean, of course, then the scenes with the dolls are naked really show it. Like, I mean, I guess you could put it like on comedy. And then like just in the parts of time, there are times where the doll's naked, or like you put it like because Comedy Central, they seem to like not care like after midnight on a Saturday like that. Not that it's up against Toonami or what I'm saying is Comedy Central has played movies without like censorship and stuff like that after a certain time at night. So like I guess you could probably put it on. Like I said, there is nudity and obviously adult themes because it's a sex doll. But it's so fun. And now I'm watching one. It's funny, I mentioned Will Forte, and the show's it's called Flipped. And I saw like the first 3 episodes of that, which Will Forte certainly in Will Forte mode, and the girl from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The show's called Flipped, where they're both like these weird losers, and it's funny because they're losers and they're fucking idiots. But they're really positive. That's the funny thing. The show's not trying to be negative. Like Always Sunny in Philadelphia is very negative. This show they're positive, and they both lose their jobs, and they're gonna get into the industry of like flipping houses for profit, but also like doing it like filming themselves with their iPhone or whatever to try to make like a web series, become famous or whatever. So they get this like ridiculous beat up fucking house in the middle of the desert, and like when they're tearing down the wall, there's like $1 million in the wall. And then so they rebuild the house, and they start doing the flipping show and all this shit. And then like and at the end of the episode, that last episode I saw, like the major drug pin guy walks into the house, and he remembers, he left his money in the shack, not expecting anyone to touch his fucking money, and obviously they took his money and fucking they turned the shack into like this beautiful mansion or what, and now he's like, now he's gonna kill them or whatever. So I mean, and once again, that's Will Forte in full Will Forte, but it seems pretty interesting. I'm definitely gonna finish. So all the Quibi shows, and there's like there's a new season of Punk'd that I'm pretty sure I'll watch, but it's Chance the Rapper hosting it, not Ashton Kutcher. And there's a show with Christy Teigen's a judge. I don't know what the fuck's that all about. Then there's one of the Hemsworth brothers did like a movie for Quibi, and because the whole movie is supposed to, like you're supposed to watch the movie on like 10-minute segments, like it's he's being hunted by people or some shit like that. All the Quibi shit went over to Roku, I guess would be the best way to say it. And the Friends reunion that was on HBO Max, and don't get me wrong, I fucking hated Friends. But I just watched the reunion as sort of like, it's a culture. I noticed people talking about it online with a shot. I just hate Friends because, they got a bunch of fucking suburban kids wanting to move to New York City and then gentrifying the area that I grew up in, and I can't even afford to fucking live in my old neighborhood because of shows like fucking. And then, Invincible. Once again, I think it's been so long since we did our last episode. The first season of Invincible. Now that's on Amazon. And I don't support Amazon, but I just I do support illegally downloading. So
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Well, no. What I'm saying, no. All right, let me strike that from the record. I got to see it because of the press pass we get. They say it's screeners, but it's not screeners. They send you the links to your email so you go fucking watch them online. But so I guess through the press pass I got a chance to see the first season of Invincible, not illegally downloaded, but there's other shows I've been illegally downloading. But Invincible, the show Invincible, based on the comic by Robert Kirkman, the same guy who did Walking Dead. And without spoiling, once again, I'll give you the gist of the first episode without spoiling the rest of the season. He makes a great cartoon, and what it is obviously these are characters that I can say it's Batman. Of course, in the show it's not Batman; it's like Night Guy or whatever. But it's Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's call it what it is. And then, but it's so, but in this world, like there's Batman and then there's Teen Titan, but then there's also like a Hellboy, a couple other like, it's like these are all stereotypes of. So it's basically a world where Superman has a kid, Lois Lane. And so then the kid, now he's a teenager, he was half human, whatever. Just now in his teens, he starts showing his superpower, because superpowers just kicked in. I don't know if it's because he's half human or that's just how it is on that race or whatever. And so one day, Superman, or in this show they call him Omni-Man, Omni-Man flips the fuck out one day and kills the entire Justice League. And it's a great fucking scene. I mean, I could talk about it now because I've seen people like post the fucking, like, just that video alone. And it's so fucking graphic. He fucking twists Wonder Woman's head around. You can see like her head coughs up blood after he spun her head all the way around. And like, you know, the Flash like punches him a million times in the chest. You see like it's strong enough to like break his shirt. He's not making a fucking dent. And Superman crushes his fucking head. And you know, and Superman throws stuff at him, and he grabs Superman by the ankle, smashes him into the fucking ground. And once again, I'm using the characters from the show, but I'm using the people that he resemble in the comics that we're familiar with. And so there is a like superhero agency on Earth, sort of like monitors all the superhero, everybody's on the up and up. Now Superman kills the Justice League, or Omni-Man kills whatever, the Guardians of the Globe or whatever they call it. And but he says it was somebody else. And then like this agency sort of like, no, we're starting to put the clues together, and no, it was you, Superman. And so they sort of try to recruit his son, who's also now starting to get the powers of Superman. Like, we need you to help us basically find out if your father killed all these people. We think your father killed all these people. And then there's the whole loyalty. You know, what position would that put you in? If your dad was accused of murder and now people want to come to you about, you know, participating in, because you're the only person on the planet that can fight him. Because you have the same powers, and then again, he doesn't have the same powers because he just got that, still learning them and stuff like that. So it's such a good show. And I've heard people, they talk shit about the animation, like, oh, the animation, or like, unless it's an action scene. I didn't notice that. I thought the anime fantastic. You know, it's a beautiful. And that's the funny thing is the first episode fucks with you because the first episode is very, very innocent, and it's very nice and very sweet until it gets to the Superman kills the Justice League scene, and you're like, holy shit. But it's very, you know, the show gets very, very, very graphic. But it's one of those things where, like, you know, if Superman could punch a fucking building, yeah, he's going to punch it. You know, if Superman gets pissed off, he could fly through a building and the building's going to collapse because fuck you. You know what I'm saying? You know, Superman could pull 20 9/11s if he wanted to. You know, he has to do is fly through a fucking building and the building collapses just because he's done that much structural damage. And there's nobody that can stop him if he wants. So, Invincible, it's a really good show. I kind of cheated and I went online and I started watching all these videos about, like, you know, where the story goes in the comic. It's been renewed for another 2 seasons. I think with all the stuff they have, I think they could easily go 5 seasons and tell the whole story. Because like Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman, like, he wrote his comics to have an ending. There is an ending to the series. So I think, you know, if they're smart, they're going to do it right, and, you know, so we'll have a complete, you know, because most comics, you know, comics go on and on and on. You know, Batman's been Batman for the past 75 years. Superman's a Superman. But Robert Kirkman, just like The Walking Dead, he's written his comics where he eventually will have it. So I'm looking forward. And before we go, I just want to tell I got to tell this one story. This is story time with Chris. I want to tell, okay.
Yep, I said that.
So there was you know, I follow a lot of comic book creators and stuff like that, a lot of artists, and so a guy had posted an article about how a fan was meeting a comic book creator, and then the fan asked for an autograph, and the comic book creator was very rude and said, like, you know, yeah, I'll give you an autograph. You got to give me $20 first. And so I had made the comment. I said, does that comic book creator's name rhyme with Neil Adams? Now, of course, you know, the joke being, I was saying I meant Neil Adams. I just was being a joke. Well, apparently, the entire fucking comic book creating community decided to speak out against me. This fucking. So it got to the point where even Neil Adams' son responded to the post. And, you know, and it's not like, I went to the guy's Facebook page. I looked at all his pictures. I Googled it. It was legit Neil Adams' son, basically saying that, yeah, you know, my father, you know, now don't get me wrong. Like, I kind of understand that I sounded very privileged. You know, I had met Neil Adams back and once again, the Comic-Cons, and having a press pass, you know, gets you into places that other people don't get into. And I had saw Neil Adams. I asked him for an autograph, and he basically told me, go over there and stand in line with all the other people. No, excuse me, not an autograph. I asked him for a picture, excuse me. But, you know, and that being said, if I was to sit there online, I would have to pay, you know, $20 or whatever. I think like $20 for a picture, $20 for an autograph, or, you know, autograph and a picture for $30. You know, some ridiculous shit like that. But the funny thing is that, like, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, sure, just stand on that line over there. As I asked for a picture with him. Now, mind you, I've taken a picture with fucking, you know, Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn. I took a picture with Grant Morrison, the guy who created fucking Arkham Asylum. Marv. I have a picture with Marv Wolfman, the guy who created the Teen Titans. I have a picture with Peter David, a guy who's written a bunch of Hulk comics, or a bunch of comics in general. None of these people asked for a dime or said you have to spend. Now, of course, some of these people I met on the floor in Artist Alley, and I bought stuff from them after I took a picture with them and stuff like that. But it wasn't a necessity. It wasn't these people saying, sure, I will take a picture of you, but you have to buy something from me. And now, mind you, I had that experience with Neil Adams, and then I was looking for something one day, and I found out later that that's part of his reputation. Neil Adams is a guy who basically says, fuck you, pay me. And he liked that with everybody. He wasn't rude just to me. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even rude. He put his hand on my shoulder and smiled and said, yes, go over there. But it made me so fucking sour. I will never look at him the same way after that, because, I just want the same time it would have taken him to say, go stand in line, I could have took a picture with him. And of course,
exactly.
Of course, it's my fault because I've been spoiled by so many great people that when I met the one dick, the one person's like, oh, you got to pay me. I'll never forget. Like they always say, people complain on Yelp. They're 9 times out of 10 they're complaining no one ever compliments stuff on Yelp. They'll go to Yelp only to complain. So once again, I've had great experiences. Todd McFarlane, Grant Morrison, Marv Wolfman, Peter David. These are giants in the fucking industry, and we're all incredibly nice to me. Then I met another giant who was a dick, and I only speak about the dick. And so, and then Rob Liefeld, the guy who created fucking Deadpool, and once again the account, because I had a good experience with him. But once again, I had a good experience, and it was a situation where I was buying some. But Rob Liefeld was very, very nice, as he was to everyone there. And so I said, because someone said, you don't mean Neil Adams, you mean Rob Liefeld. I guess Rob Liefeld is another one, guys. And maybe because I was paying Rob Liefeld at the time, he was being nice. But I said, look, my experience was with Neil Adams, not with Rob Liefeld. I did meet Rob Liefeld, and he was very nice to me. Also, note that when I met Rob Liefeld, I bought some stuff. And so Rob Liefeld liked that post. Legit, the guy who created Deadpool. So for 5 minutes, I was fucking hated by everybody on that, or all comic book. And then even his son responded, look, whatever you want to say about my father. And then because he had commented, and I said, look, please understand that everything I'm saying is 100% the truth, and I mean no disrespect to your father, and it was a situation that kind of soured me. And he's like, hey, look, whatever reputation you think my father has, he's good to his fans and stuff like that, and I understand, but I understand the guy's, he's going to defend his father and shit like that, but for 5 minutes I was the most hated fan on the internet, comic book fan, but so was life with me.
So that was what that was all about, huh?
Yeah, that was what that was all about, and it was you're someone said I was acting like a spoiled and shit like that, and then the guy goes,
well, you're not really spoiled. You're not really spoiled when you ask the guy, hey, would you mind taking a picture? And, he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, get in line. I mean, it doesn't sound like he was rude about it, and it's fine, but I've had my own experiences, not where I've asked for a picture with somebody for example, the guy that did the voice of Goliath in Gargoyles. Loved that dude. Had a chance at MomoCon to interview him, and he never showed up for the press interview. There's all these press people here. The interview was scheduled. We're waiting for him to come in. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just me. It was other groups too, and he never came in. And I blasted him on fucking Twitter because I was like, dude, you can't be fucking doing that. And he tried to be like, whatever. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. We're here waiting for you. And then you're just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. That's kind of fucked up. Yeah. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's, when somebody does that to you and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, go and get in line and pay for something. I mean, maybe if everybody's doing it, I guess it clarifies it, but you can't hate on somebody when you're not even the one that started the post. You're just saying, does it rhyme with this? And
that's
then
something
everybody else says.
I was just saying, I sort of just, I said it as a joke, but obviously I was a little hurt. And look, and I do understand that it does make me look a little bit of a dick and shit like that, but, it's also my argument was that, the time he took to fucking tell me to go over to the line You know, and then
wait a minute. Was this on Facebook or Twitter that you got all this hate?
Facebook. Like I go to Twitter, but I don't live on Twitter.
Well, it's just really strange that because you don't. Well, no, you do get that on Facebook, but it's usually more political stuff that you get. You know, and at that point, it feels like just trolling. So that's what I was gonna say.
That's the whole thing. Is that like these people came out of fucking nowhere? Where the fuck did Rob Liefeld come from? You know what I'm saying? Like that blew my fucking mind. It was like a blue check. It was a blue check account. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, and you know, and I know Rob Liefeld is a big and popular guy, but I don't think he's the kind of guy that has someone run his social media accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like he's big, but he's not that big. Some people are so famous that, you know, they have people like William Shatner. You know, William Shatner has someone that runs his account. It's so fucking obvious. The person who runs his account is making all these like current.
Well, and you know the one thing. Go on. The one thing that bothers me about when, like for example, his son comes on and defends him. Okay, my response would be like, well, dude, I get that you had a sour experience with my dad. Why don't we have a conversation, or why don't we talk about that? And maybe, you know, I don't know, is he still alive or?
Oh, yes, that's still very much alive. I mean, he's an older guy, but I mean, he's
so yeah.
Still...
I mean, like, why not like introduce him and talk about the situation and, you know, just whatever? Because honestly, like, if you have nothing to worry about or you think that your father really did anything, then, you know, it just makes more sense to be like, okay.
Well, let me tell you, the next time, if I ever have a chance to meet Neil Adams, I'm going to fucking pay. I'm going to pay and I'm going to meet him just so I can fucking tell the story. But, you know.
I just, you know, it just, for me, it just seems like, you know, oh, well, you made fun of my father. Yeah, your father was a dick to me. That's your point. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah.
Look, I can't blame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Daddy's probably paying the bills because like I look like his son is in the industry also. His daughter's in the industry also. And let's be real here. I'm pretty sure that I don't want to speak bad against his son, but it's also, you know, if your dad is famous.
How does this guy like have all this time to like respond to you? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Do you not have a life where you respond?
I did not know. I was not expecting it to blow up the way it did. I started as once again just a little stupid little comment, and all these people started responding, and I responded to the responders. But once again, then his son responded, and I'm like, because you see the name, the guy's name is Neil Adams, and then his son is whatever, Michael Adams or whatever, and then like, and I look at the picture. And I go to his page and I look at all the other pictures, and then like even on his page it says son of Neil Adams, like in the profile. And then like I Google and I said Neil Adams' sons or whatever Michael Adams or whatever. You know, I forgive me, I don't remember the actual guy, but you know what I'm saying. And I'm like, holy shit, that's the legit guy. And then, but you know, it's also, you know, and not to talk shit about his, you know, his son's in the comic book industry, his daughter's in the comic. I'm pretty sure being the son or daughter of Neil Adams, that other people don't get, you know, other people don't have that kind of privilege for their daddy's reputation. So, you know, I would be defending my dad also if someone was talking shit. You know what I'm saying?
You should drop the podcast in there. Listen. I would, you know, honestly, like after the podcast, you'd send me the link to the feed, the thread, so I can kind of see, because I don't think I saw that full thread.
Yeah, well, what it was is I was trying to share that particular post, but all it was showing the original post, which is about a kid going to see his favorite comic book creator, and comic book creator said, well, I'm not signing shit until unless, you know, like made that crushed kid's soul or what. So it was sharing that story and not the whole thing. So what I did is I took a bunch of screen grabs and then I posted, like I gave it a day to kind of die down, because it was still like, even like a day later, it was like, oh, you know, then these other nobody people posting like, oh, I met all these people that you met and everybody was, yeah, I said everyone I met was Neil Adams kind of, and then it's like, oh, and I seen Kevin Smith in the street, and I saw this guy at a Quiznos, and I saw this guy, and then I said, look, and what I did is I took a bunch of pictures that I had from my comic and I turned it into a GIF, just so you know, and I said every single one of these pictures taken at Comic-Con. You know, you're saying, yeah, you saw Kevin Smith in the hotel lobby. Yeah, I'm not going to bother somebody. I mean, well, I would probably bother someone in a hotel lobby. But I'm saying, if you're a comic book creator and you're on the floor of Comic-Con, you're gonna be stopped. You're gonna have people ask for pictures or autograph. It's going to happen. Like the guy, like his argument was, I've seen all these people on the street. Yeah, I didn't see all these people on the street. I'm seeing someone on a fucking Comic-Con. Then I'm gonna ask for a fucking picture, as I'm pretty sure they've got asked for pictures 300 times that same day. And obviously Neil Adams is successful enough where he can charge for his signature. And part of it, if I had a luxury time, I will go and wait to pay for Neil Adams' signature just so I could tell him the story. And say, hey, tell your son he's a good kid. He defended you. It's a stranger on the internet.
I think those other people were probably, but yeah, send me that thread because I would love to see that. Maybe I'll put something in there and cause people to start trolling.
I don't know. The thing that blew my mind was Rob Liefeld, fucking the creator of Deadpool, liked my post. Of course, I was saying something nice, but so yeah, that's so. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before you?
No, I'm good.
So let's wrap this up. That's what she said.
That's what it.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net or com. You can find all things show related. You can find us through our iTunes. If you have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can find us on iTunes and subscribe to us there. If you don't have any of those devices and you have an Android phone, you can subscribe to us on the Stitcher app, STICHE, Stitcher app for Android. Well, it's for all devices. I'm so used to saying for Android devices, but for all devices. And Stitcher is pretty much the app that I use the most when it comes to listening to my podcast. Of course, I listen to Kevin Smith stuff, and I've been getting really into this other podcast, Your Mom's House. This comedian Tom Segura and his wife, Christina P. But of course, every podcast worth listening to is on Stitcher, including Paul's Other Baby, the Toonami Faithful podcast, which I had caught the beginning. I don't know if it was the most recent episode, but it was a very, very current episode where it was an all-female lineup on the show.
We did do that. It's kind of an experiment to see if people like it.
I caught it. It was I like, because I listen to the occasional episode,
Chris is trying to get laid.
But it was
no, I don't know.
You know what it is? Since I don't drive anywhere, since I don't drive to work anymore, I don't listen to podcasts as much as I like to. But I caught the beginning of I don't know if it's your most current episode, but it was one of the more recent ones, and it was all female line, because the whole thing is like you hear the music playing, and like, hi, I'm this and this, and I'm the media social, and I'm head of social media, and I'm contributor, and I'm like, and for a split second I'm like, where's Paul, where's Darrell, where's and they even said it's a girl takeover, and I was like, oh shit, that's interesting, that's pretty cool. But if you want to hear all girls talk about anime and the Toonami lineup, check out Paul's Other Baby, the Toonami Faithful podcast, and hear about the state of affairs.
And Celia is a cosplayer too, so.
Mm-hmm. And so
no, Chris, you can't. No, Chris, no.
I mean, like, I'm still a lecherous piece of shit. I don't know. I got to get myself an old lady. So I got to get someone that's just given up. And just instead of chasing all the ones that don't want to be around me. With that being said, you could also you can get the podcast right from the source, our hosting site, SoundCloud, soundcloud.com, search for the Strangers of Podcast. I make every episode available for download. So you can get us there. That's how you listen to the podcast. And what else? We want your money. We need your money. One day we will set up a Patreon. Just we have to get our episodes more frequently again. But one day, if we haven't set up a Patreon, but until then, it takes 2 seconds to like and share us on Facebook, Two Strangers One Podcast. Like this episode, like the page, share this episode, share the page, and the Two Strangers One Podcast network, which is your page. And a shout out to Chris Mounts. He always puts great content. And I feel bad, like he puts more content on our page than I do. But a shout out to him. And no Oscar letter this week, unfortunately. I checked right before the episode. Once again, he's crawled back into his rubble after the earthquake or whatever. Probably has COVID in a cave somewhere, singing Madonna songs or whatever. If you want to write to us like Oscar does, and you want to curse me out like Oscar does, you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. And for all our episodes that are on SoundCloud, if you want to listen to anything before that, our last episode was our 9-year anniversary. You can listen to about 4 or 5 years worth of Two Strangers One Podcast on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Two Strangers One Podcast. You can see every single episode that's not on SoundCloud. And also you can listen to my audiobook, Tale from the Road. You can listen to 4 albums worth of music that I made under my pseudonym. If you want to go, I call myself XLNYC. So you can listen to 3 or 4 albums worth of electronical ambient digital noise music that I make. You can see my Stranger vlogs. Hopefully sometime soon I plan to be putting something very special up on the page. I won't get into it now. It was sort of part of a quarantine project that I was working on. So see what happens with that. And I can't think of anything else. I acquiesce before to you, sir.
Okay, well, as usual, you can follow me on Twitter at Paul You can email me like Oscar has, paulpascrillo@toonamifaithful.com. And if you do listen to this podcast, you listen to my other podcast, I'm also on the Toonami Discord, the Toonami Faithful Discord, I should say, excuse me. And you can just add Paul Pascrillo if you want to talk to me there.
Well, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. You should be fapping. But first, get your car out of the fucking driveway.
Oh, God.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
Look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with the materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. And if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know, you're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration? Maybe a butthole shot? No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonePodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonePodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.